Okay, you guys ready to make some real money? This is how you sell houses without a real estate license, without any prior knowledge, simply by spending a couple dollars and using your brain just a little bit and thinking outside the box. This is called getting leads to real estate agents, or creating leads for real estate agents to close deals. Pretty much, essentially, I don't want to word it weird, but you're selling houses. So I'm going to show you how to do this. What you do, you go anywhere, you search for any house in the fucking world. You go to any city, any state, you find houses and you find a decent deal, right? So I look for this house, right? I'm looking at, this is, let's see. So houses near me, right? I click on the first thing. All those houses ain't, hold on. I want those nice houses. So I go to search listing, correct? So this house is $16.5 million, right? In Illinois. So what I do is I get a hold of the realtor and talk to him and say that I'm going to help them sell their property. Whether or not they want to write up an agreement or however they want to do it, but tell them that you'll be selling the property. And what you're going to do is you're going to target audiences on social media to sell this specific house in this area by utilizing keywords and certain search reference points. And you're going to literally do something that they're not doing. What they're doing is they're taking a house from somebody who's trying to sell it, and they're putting it on their website and maybe putting it on Craigslist. But you can do the same thing if it's not already on Craigslist. What you do is you pretty much want to put it on social media though. Craigslist works, but I wouldn't recommend Craigslist because they might already have it on Craigslist. A lot of realtors are evolving to Craigslist. Screw Craigslist. I'm talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google. Okay, so here's what you do. Create an ad campaign, or if you're not familiar with the ad campaign, check out some tutorials. I have a video about one. Learn how to do an ad campaign for something. Obviously you're selling a real piece of real estate, but you're gonna have to be somewhat familiar with the ad campaign. So just do a trial one, try to do a free one, or do one and not complete it with the purchases. Get a feel for it and understand how they work and how they operate. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna literally run a campaign for people searching for houses in this particular area that make this amount of money, that have that amount of income, substantial income, that can afford this piece of property and that are looking for this piece of property. So you find people that are within a 50-mile radius or a 100-mile radius, the little cities nearby, and you target your audiences to these specific places near this place. So I'm going to create an ad campaign for this location, and I'm going to put it for $18 million. When I put it on there, I'm going to expose it. I might spend $1,000, right, on, or even $10,000. We'll call it $10,000 on advertising, right? So then that'll give me exposure to like 1 million people. And I'm going to use keyword searches and keyword filters to... Sorry, my heat just kicked on. But I'm going to use keyword filters and area target location on my social media advertisement. And I'm going to say, this house is $18 or $19 million. It's in this area, and it's going to be within a radius of X amount of radius. And you're going to advertise that, and you're going to put this advertisement in front of roughly 1 million people. Even if 1 or 2 people are really, really dedicated, interested buyers, you probably have about 5 out of 1 million people that are interested buyers. Usually out of 5, maybe 2 will be real buyers. So, because this is an expensive home, not a lot of people make this amount of money. But still, this is a numbers game. So you need to seek out to the numbers, right? You're going to spend some money, but you're going to make a lot of money. So here's what you do. So you're going to spend that 10 grand, you're going to get at least 1 million followers, or you're going to get 1 million points of exposure. Once you do that, and then you get these leads, they call you, and you talk to them about the house, and you could bring them to the property. If you talk to the real estate agent or the realtor, and it's fine with them, I'm sure that it will be, because they're probably having trouble selling the house as it is. It's an expensive home. It's a nice home. So say you're doing it for 19 million. If they say 17 million, you tell the realtor you give them 16 million or 14 million or whatever. You work it out what kind of profit margin that you want. I'm just giving you examples. So say the house is 19 million. You talk to the realtor, say, hey, I got a buyer. They'll do it for 14 million. They'll probably go down to 15 million. You get the house for 15 million. That's a decent amount of money, and that's millions of dollars. Yeah, you spent $10,000 on an advertisement, but what you're doing is you're not selling real estate. You're not a realtor. You're somebody who directs leads and traffic, and you're an advertising marketer. You market advertising on social media, and they're not doing this. Most people, most real estate agents, and most real estate companies are not thinking about social media advertising. The people who are spending this kind of money are people that are on their smartphones, people that have nice phones, people that are on the internet, people that are going to see this type of information. And you could target your audiences by income. So literally, you could totally skip out of people that are young, people that are nowhere near this price range, people that are, you're not going to worry about people that are in different areas. You're going to worry about maybe a 50 or 100 mile radius within this area, people who make this amount of money, and that's it. That's how you target this particular bid. And once you sell, you're good. And it may take a couple trial and errors, and I'm not saying jump out and start with $1 million, $10 million, like this one, almost $20 million home for your first bid. But say you got like for instance, down the street from my house, there's a house right now for sale in Clinton. It's $7,500, right? So you would go to find out who the realtor is, the real estate agent, and they say that the house is $7,500. You say, well, how would you feel about $6,500 or $6,000? They say, oh, well, we could probably do $6,500. Like, well, could I come and take a look at it? They say yes. Okay, so that's what you do. You just have the ability to come there, yes or no. Sometimes they may say no, but if they're a good realtor, they're going to want to show you the property so they can get the sale. Most people ain't going to buy a house for any amount of money unless they can see it. So you try to work out an agreement with the realtor beforehand, before you run this ad campaign. Don't just find a house and then put an ad, spend $1,000 on an advertisement or even $10 on an advertisement without knowing a little bit about the realtor and about what you're getting yourself into. So this house is $7,500. You're going to get it for $6,500. That's the deal you worked out with the realtor. They will settle on that price. You put an advertisement up for, we'll call it $12,000, right? So you got an advertisement for $12,000, but you say no money down. They don't have to put no money down, because either way they're going to go to a bank and they're going to get lending, right? So it doesn't matter. Either way, the bank is going to pay you. It doesn't matter how you get the payments. You're going to get money from the bank regardless. The bank is going to be the one who has it. Most people don't have $12,000 or whatever your agreement price is going to be. So you're going to offer the house or list the house for $12,000 on a social media advertisement on Instagram or primarily Facebook. Instagram and Facebook, I feel, have the best exposure, but you can also, if you want to go above and beyond, use Google and Twitter, and there's probably a few other that I'm overlooking, but use those at minimum. Facebook and Instagram will do the job. There's billions of people on just those programs alone and those platforms. So say the interested buyer contacts you and says, I could probably come look at it. I could maybe you offered or listed for 12. Say they hit you with 10. You'd be like, well, I don't know about that. I could probably do 10, 5 or 11. So say you settle on $10,500. $10,500, right? So that'd be the amount of money that you would receive for this particular listing. So you subtract your 10,500 from the initial 6,500 that you spent, you're clearing $4,000. So yeah, you may have spent, say you spend even $1,000 on advertising, which is a lot for a $7,500 home. That's extremely a lot. But the thing is, if you spend $1,000 on advertising, you're gonna reach at least, let's see, probably 20, 30, 50,000 people just for that one advertisement. And you're not trying to sell to just random people. You're not putting an ad in the newspaper. You're putting an ad in front of people who are looking for this kind of stuff already. You're literally singling down what somebody's already searching for. If somebody's been looking for homes recently, if somebody's been looking for homes in a certain area, somebody's interested in real estate, renovations, the area, that kind of stuff, you literally are targeting people who are only going to be interested buyers. You're not targeting just strangers or random people. You're targeting people who you need to target. And the system is very simple. You'll be able to figure out what I'm talking about. There's keyword filters that you're going to have to get used to and be creative with, but you can single down and classify how you want your particular customer or potential customer to be. So say you even spent that $1,000 on advertising, which is extremely a lot for a $7,500 home. You can make $3,000 on just gaining a lead to a sale on a real estate property, and you were not a realtor. You didn't have to get a real estate license. You just made a connection or bridged the gap. That's what people who do this, they call it a bridge. They say they bridge the gap between the customer and the buyer or the seller. There's lots of people who are giving courses about this, but they're charging hundreds and thousands of dollars to teach you the same method. I know I didn't word it perfectly. This is my first rough draft, and I'm running through it pretty fast. I didn't think it out very much before I did it, but I know how the system works. And I got a buddy that does this and makes millions and millions of dollars all the time. But he sells houses just like this, these high-priced, high $1 million homes. So he might be the one that you want to talk to when it comes into millions and millions of dollars. But for the most people, you're going to be going for houses that are probably 20, 30, maybe 50 grand. So you can know what to expect when you're investing that kind of money in your advertisements or trying to sell a house for that price range. Don't go too far out of your comfort zone, because you just don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't want to spend money on advertising if you're not very familiar with advertising. Get a little familiar with advertising, get familiar with the market a little bit, and just make sure that you do your homework before you try to jump into this. This isn't a very complicated process, but it will be beneficial to have a little bit of insight and a little bit of background history in this field. This video is simply giving you a generalized idea of the concept, and once you know the concept, then you can perfect the skill. So basically, that's in essence what you do: is you find houses that are for sale, you put those houses that are for sale on social media advertisements, technically and essentially Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising, and you target your audiences within a certain range or location and of that house. So wherever the house is located, you do a 50-mile range or whatever radius of that home, and you could target people that make particular amounts of income, people who've been looking for certain kinds of homes, people that drive certain kind of cars, people that have certain kind of jobs. You can literally, however you feel that your customer or a customer that would be buying this type of home would be, you could literally find keywords and search for the person like that. Because Google is tracking everything you do, Facebook and all that, and Pixel is tracking you like crazy, everything that you do. That's why, like, when you are on a sales page for cell phones and you go to your Facebook newsfeed and you see the same sort of advertisements on your newsfeed, it's because you're being tracked and you're being monitored what you're doing. So that's what you're essentially doing, is you are putting houses in front of people who are being tracked and monitored, and you're listing homes in front of them for just above the price of the asking price, and you're taking out, your commission pretty much for finding the connection between the sale of the house and the person who's selling the house. I recommend getting involved in this. This is the thing that really will change your life. This is the thing that, if you perfect this skill, and like I said, This isn't the greatest video. This isn't the greatest explanation of it. I might make a few more videos getting a little more complex. Maybe I'll even do a video of the entire process. But right now I'm just giving you the idea, and I'm going to let your brains wander a little bit. So if you're trying to change that amount of income that you're making, you're going to have to spend a little money to make a little money. But I'm telling you, the profit margins that you're going to be making are going to be crazy. You could spend $100 sometimes on a listing for a home and make $3-4 grand or $5 grand off a $100 advertisement, or maybe a $500 advertisement could net you $5,000 or even $10,000. It's literally that easy. And all you have to do is be somewhat familiar with Instagram or Facebook. And everybody is on Instagram or Facebook. Just figure out how to do a campaign. Make a campaign for something simple that costs $1 or $2, just to get the idea of the process. So you have a little bit of a ballpark history of what you're getting yourself into when you're doing your advertisement. You don't necessarily want to play in the major leagues if you've never thrown a baseball. You know what I mean? You want to have a somewhat of an idea of what to do. I'm not saying you have to be a professional. This doesn't require professional skills. This just requires a little bit of insight and a little bit of skill, a little bit of investment, and a decent return. This is the best way to make large sums of money that I know of, hands down. This is the thing that can make you millions of dollars or billions of dollars in a week, in a month, in a year, whatever. However hard you work, that's how hard that you're gonna get paid. That's the return that you're gonna get. The more you sell, the more you get in return. The more advertisements that you're putting out, the more you're going to make. And that obviously means that means the more money you're going to spend. But you're not going to be spending but maybe 5 or 10% of the money that you're going to be making on the advertisement. I wouldn't recommend spending over 5% of the money that you expect to make off the house from the advertisement. So if the house is, $500, let's see, so you go pull out your handy dandy calculator, just make sure that everything is secure for you. So we'll say that you find a house that's $10,000, or the listing price is $10,000. That's what you can get it for. And you don't want to spend too much on your advertisements, but you want to make sure that you got a decent profit margin. So the house is worth $10,000. You're going to sell it for $15,000. So there's $5,000 right there that you could clear, right? So 10% of, or 5% of $5,000. So you do 5,000 times 0.05. That's $250 that you would spend on your advertisement. So you spend $250 on a Facebook or Instagram advertisement, on a specific targeted advertisement, and you will make $4,750 as long as this goes through, and it will. You're targeting people specifically who are asking for this. You're not going, blind into this. You're doing something that nobody's doing yet. At least the majority of these people aren't doing it. And the people around here are definitely not doing this. Most of these people are old school and they think they know what they're doing. And in reality, they got no clue. They're living in the old school days where they think that their methods work and that they're good real estate agents and they can sell a house, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's nice if you're good at selling a house, but being able to sell a house to one particular person, or being able to have the ability to put your house in front of X amount of people is much more probable. The people who come to real estate agencies and stuff, are very few and short-lived. People are not coming in there by the hundreds or the thousands or the millions, by no means. They're not. They come there, with their wife, and they plan the day out, and there might be 5 people in the real estate agency office the entire time you're there. And that time that you'd be at the real estate agency office, that ad could generate 10, 20,000 hits alone. And that's potential customers. Every single point that you see where your advertisement was reached to a customer, that's a potential person that could buy your house. So make sure that your pictures of your property are decent looking. Make sure that they're not very poor quality. Make sure that they're of somewhat of decent standard quality, and make sure the listing is in decent quality, and you'll be just fine. But you need to make sure that the reference for the house is directed towards you. They're calling you, not, don't put the realtor's information, because that's not going to work out unless you have an agreement with the realtor beforehand. So you're basically acting as a middleman. You know what I mean? Have them contact you. They're going to make the sale to the realtor, obviously, but you want them to contact you, and then you make the deal with the realtor. Say, hey, my people got this much money. You're like a lawyer. You know what I mean? You're acting as somebody's person of representation. You're representing a customer to a seller, and that's all you're doing. And I know I made this a little bit more complex and difficult than it really should be, but if you break it down, essentially you find a house for a particular amount of money, you add, say, 30% to what the value of that home is, or the listing price of the home is, and you post an ad for 5% of what that listing price was, and there you go. You're good. Or you don't have to really put much thought or effort into this. You can put 5% of the money that you expect to make, like we did last time. You're not even putting 5% of the entire property. You're putting 5% of the commission that you're expecting to make. So that's very beneficial for what you can be doing. And you can do more leads, and you could do bigger advertisements and make your sales go faster and quicker. That's all about how you want to do it. You'll be able to feel it out as you get better and better with this. But there'll be a time to where you know exactly how much money to spend. Say you spend $500, you got 50,000 leads. I'm just being optimistic. You get 50,000 leads, and your house is sold in 2 days. If you can sell a house in 2 days and you made a couple thousand profit, that's phenomenal. Even if you spend a little bit more on advertising, that's phenomenal. I mean, so just think about that. Just sell homes on social media, and all you're doing is adding a commission for posting your ad. So that's it. Try to make this as sophisticated and as clear cut as possible. Try to give yourself some type of margins that you feel that you could live by. There might be different margins, and each situation may be a little bit different, but do this based on your comfort zone. Don't spend $20,000 on advertising for a $50,000 home or something crazy like that. I mean, yeah, you'll sell the house instantly because you'll have millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people who are potential customers going to be notified of that home that's being sold. But that's just too much money, and that's cutting into your profit margins. So the better you get at this, the more gap that's in between, and that means that's more money for you. So I pray that you perfect this craft, because this is a craft. This is something that they don't teach you in school. This is something that is up and coming, and this is something that you can go anywhere in the fucking world with. Anywhere. You can go to China with this. You can go to Florida with this. You can go to Cali with this. You can go to New York City with this. You can go anywhere in the world. And I'm just picking the examples I gave you were off the top of my head and the first search on Google. So I spent maybe 2 seconds finding 2 homes for you, and I just gave you an example. So that's why my my price ranges and stuff were maybe a little bit off, but I'm just trying to give you a quick example and give you a quick run through of how the process works. Now that you know how the process works, I want you to perfect this craft, because this is your breadwinner. This is something that is going to change the income in your home. This is something that's going to put your kids through college. And this is something that's going to make you what they call financially free and financially stable. This is something that we call a game changer.